It's daybreak on Arise News, and it's that time for the press preview, a fresh look at what's on the front pages of the papers. We start with this day, sister publication. On its front page, it says a major crowdfunding. Nigerians and diaspora move to raise $150 million, 100 billion naira for Obi's campaign. That's quite interesting. Labour Party candidate pledges to cut cost of governors. Commitment to transparency and accountability. You see Tinubu Shetima APC governors visit Jonathan. What are they cooking again? That's the question they're asking there. Then Kyari, Nigeria will stop importing petroleum products by May 2023. That sounds like music to the ears of Nigerians. We'll wait and see how that works out. Says Dangote refinery to commence petrol production with 50 million liters per day capacity. Alleges churches, mosques now store stolen crude oil. Well, ex-Soviet Union leader Gorbachev dies at 91. Atiku, I'll consider national unity government if elected to douse tension and unite Nigerians. Okay, I just leave it there for this day.
The Punch newspaper this morning's leading headline, indefinite strike, federal government summons varsity councils, vice chancellors as parents grumble. Let's take two riders there. NUC meets pro-chancellors on Tuesday to review actions and reach consensus. Osinbajo, APC governors beg lecturers to end strike. Meanwhile, Parents Association says ASU is inconsiderate. And just below that, leading photos on the Punch newspaper this morning. Army kills a terrorist, arrests 3 suspects in Kaduna. More of that on page 4. And above the nameplate of the Punch this morning, 6,068 Nigerian doctors move to the UK under Buhari on page 12. 46 billion naira debt, NCAA threatens to withdraw airlines licenses.
This is the Nation now. Buhari tells Nigerians I won't interfere in next year's poll. Osinbajo challenges governors on economy ASU strike. That's the vice president speaking. No rift between Tinubu and Adamu over campaign council. That's according to the APC. And petrol importation to end June 2023.
Well, let's look at the Sun. From where Ken stopped, you will see fuel imports end June next year. That's coming from Kerry. Governors offer to take over negotiation with the Academic Staff Union of Universities. Move to end industrial action as federal government summons pro-vice chancellors. We must act fast on economy. Varsity lecturers strike, warns Osinbajo. Then you see APC governors NWC meet over presidential campaign list. Has something on Wike here. Wike taunts McCarthy, vows to bring down APC structures in Rivers State. And then just the top master beside the logo of Delhi Sun, Southeast, 119 civilian security personnel killed in 3 months. That's from a report.
Some international papers. Let's take a look at the Daily Express. Its leading headline, farewell, I'm proud of the things we did. That's coming from Boris Johnson, who says he's backing his successor to grab the torch and run with it.
This is the Times. It says APP will let patients avoid long NHS waits. And Gorbachev, USSR's last leader, dies at 91.
All right, the save us from 400% energy hike. Small firms are pleading with trust. I'm sure they're talking about policies. All right, we'll bring in. Go ahead.
For the press preview, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello, who joins us from our offsite studio. Emmanuel, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Let's get right into it. This morning, that interesting actually 2 leading headlines. The first one, in major crowdfunding, Nigerians in diaspora move to raise $150 million, 100 billion naira for Obi's campaign. The rider there says Labour Party candidates pledges to cut cost of governance, commitment to transparency and accountability. as we're moving closer to the 2023 general elections and even more closer to the start of the campaign, is it now taking a turn? People are saying that Obi's movement is more on social media and not really in reality. And also a very, very interesting photo here, and I'll read the caption. Tinubu, Shetima APC governors visit Jonathan. What are they cooking again?
They be cooking something.
Well, this day seems to think that they must be cooking something, Emmanuel.
Yeah, good morning, Kecha, and I can smell what you're cooking. Good morning, guys.
That's why we have you here.
Yeah, yes, interesting stories, and I'm happy with the shift that this day did. I mean, nobody is reporting that. Very interesting, shifting focus on Obi. Obi doesn't get too much of those front pages in most reporting. You have the APC, PDP clashes, occupying our news focus all the time. But now it's Obi turn, and a huge story and new words too. In Kecha, I'm sure you are hearing from the first time. Crowdfunding. We've learned a whole lot during this electoral season. We've heard of placeholders in the past, and now we're hearing of crowdfunding. Not a new term altogether, it's about funding. And so it's an interesting story for the Obi. Of course, inside that story too, you heard what Mr. Peter Obi said concerning Nigerians in diaspora. Beautiful, great things he's saying. And we're seeing an Obi now that is talking, talking presidentially, not just here at home, but also on the global stage, and talking about attracting funding, attracting the kind of expertise we need. He's doing a lot now in talking to that base. But beyond just talking to them, we're seeing a situation where for a party that's in the past, or for a man or a campaign that used to say that, look, they are not interested in so much of structures, this story is pointing to the fact that they are now interested not just in structures, but of course in even funding. Takes you back to the larger story of the fact that money is very central in this presidential race. You need more of it. Of course, some campaigns will be, raking in a lot of money, but now we're even seeing figures with clear-cut figures of how much raising 100 billion naira here, raising another amount of dollars abroad for the campaign, because money is, and much of it is going to make much of the difference in this campaign. In most cases, the difference between winning and losing is how much you are able to rake in. And there are, in fact, in some climes where the amount of money a campaign gets, indicates how popular that kind of campaign is or that presidential candidate is. So, of course, there's a cap to this. I think there are laws, legislative frameworks that decide on how much you can actually rake in or move in or solicit for or raise as fund for your campaigns. But now we're having this huge amount that the Obi campaign, Peter Obi campaign, is trying to get, not just in the country, but around the world. Because you need those monies. You need them for adverts. You need them for the supply. I mean, for the traveling junket around the country. It costs a lot of money. So a campaign is also about funding. And the more funds available to any campaign, the better. I think the better it is, their chances are. So beyond, like you're saying, Kechi, beyond what is happening in the social media, beyond the enthusiastic crowd, and beyond the exuberance of the caliber of people that are following Peter Obi, I think the candidate and even the campaign realizes that, look, the missing link there will be finances, and now they are going for that. From all indication, they are doing it in a very transparent way to rake in a lot of money that they will use in those campaigns.
Well, Emmanuel, someone who's never talked about raising money, he might have enough of his own, is the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar. He's saying he will consider a national unity government if he is elected in 2023, and it's in order to douse tension and unite Nigerians. This isn't constitutional, is it? And if it does happen, what does a government of national unity look like?
Yeah, well, you know, Atiku prides himself, his campaign is about Nigerian unity. He calls himself the unifier. So, you know, he's digging into that, you know, and saying that, look, he will form a government of national unity. Simply, it's a government that takes in everyone into cognizance. It's not a winner-takes-all kind of government, but one that reflects our people. I think he's trying to take a swipe at the APC government that has been, you know, especially their lineup that has been seen, the president and the vice president. A lot of people say that, look, it's not reflective of the kind of, you know, deep, you know, differences that we have in this country, and that it didn't take away, it didn't manage that diversity, even in his ticket. So Atiku might be looking into that. And there's a lot of red meat in the APC that he's going after, you know, in his campaign, you know, going about even their records. He was trying to say that, look, even the recent statistics that show that there was a kind of slight improvement in the economy, saying that, well, that's just on paper. It has not reflected in the hardship, in the kind of lifestyle of our people, and that those hardships have deepened, and that the economy is in a hole, and that he will do everything. So on one hand, is, you know, taking advantage of the deficiency within the APC, and one of it is the, you know, a lot of people say we've never been divided as a country as we are now, and that our, you know, our unity is at stake. So Atiku is saying that my campaign is going to unite this country, my government is going to be a government of national unity, and I'm going to dig into the economy, I'm going to look into those issues. Kenneth, from all indication, those campaigns have already begun, and each side is beginning to take its own side of what they will campaign on. PDP, we campaign on the APC record, we question that record, we tell Nigerians that we've got a better deal. And I think APC will just go way back to those 16 years of the PDP and say, well, you started it all. It's an old argument by the APC. I don't know whether this time around Nigerians will be ready to bite.
We'll watch and see. The Daily Sun, well, I don't know, but 4 interesting stories, but let me look at 2. It says governors offer to take over negotiation with ASU. It has some riders move to end in Douse action as AFG summons pro and vice chancellors. Then down there you see fuel imports and due next year by Kerry. That sounds like music, I mean, to the ears of Nigerians. And then if you look at the tiny black strip, NCAA threatens to ground local airlines over 19 billion naira, $7.6 million dollars debt. That story is on page 27. Emmanuel, what do you think about these 3 stories?
Well, I think the interesting bit there is the one that you almost screamed out, which is the fact that we're ending our dependency on fuel importations by mid next year. It's scary of NNPC that keeps reassuring us, and that reassurance is on the grounds that the Dangote refinery is going to go up. We've done stories in the past around this issue of refineries. We've even seen how people are getting huge sums of money for refineries that are not working. But now, Kerry coming out with this and saying that, look, we're going to end that dependency next year. It's good news. It's good news today. Yes. Then the story of the ASU, that the governors are taking over those debates and or those negotiations, is good news too, because I mean, ASU, a lot of parents will want to rush to this story because parents are beginning to talk now. Everybody is getting tired. Some people are even saying that, look, this whole thing is becoming, ASU is actually shooting itself in the foot, and actually is, backfiring, because state university are trying to pull out. Everybody is tired. There are lecturers who actually are also worried about this. That's, look, it's their passion to, because those demands are very germane, but of course they're also worried about the welfare of scholarship of students and all of that. Parents in particular are beginning to weigh in, and some of the stories we have this morning were the lamentation. I think in the Punch you have lamentation of parents who are saying that, look, we just need to go back to the classes. So governors are weighing in now. There will be an huge meeting with the ministry, I think tomorrow, today, around the issue. So everybody is looking at ways of how to deal with the crisis of us. It's always an interesting story because everybody wants to know what, where, and when things are happening around the university crisis.
And the minister, is insisting on nations before Nkechi comes now. He's insisting all unions' demands met. That's what the minister is saying. That's on the Nation newspaper.
Well, yes, he's saying that, but then you have, of course, the ASU still saying, talking about indefinite strikes. Clearly, they are not satisfied with whatever the ministry is saying. And I think what the governors are planning to do now is to say, let's take this away from the federal government, which seem not to be able to get around these negotiations, and that they will take it up themselves. It seems to me as if it is all attempt to say that, look, the federal government has actually failed in those negotiations. Maybe now other people should weigh in to end this face-off.
Well, before we let you go quickly, on The Guardian UK and The Times is reporting this huge, sad story of Mikhail Gorbachev, the Soviet leader who ended the Cold War, who died at age 91.
Well, I think, Nkechi, the story is very interesting because currently Russia is engaged with Ukraine, and one of the things that Putin always says is that the great Russian, the great Soviet Union that was bastardized or one time destroyed by this same very gentleman who is passed on yesterday at that age, that he wants to restore the glory, so-called glory. You remember Gorbachev is remembered for his glasnost and perestroika, policy of opening up the Soviet Union, opening it up to capitalism. And that's his place in history. And he was able to bring a lot of changes that saw many of those Soviet unions going their own way and opening up the society for capital inflow and for capitalism to thrive around those places. Putin never forgave that because he saw it as the demolition of the great Soviet Union. And this war with Ukraine is actually his own way of restoring what late Gorbachev did in the past. But so the jury is out there. History is going to judge Gorbachev on those records of whether he actually did well for the Russian people and whether openness, glasnost, really helped the Soviet Union. Historians are still studying that, but you can't take away his place in history, his attempt to open up the Soviet Union and to make, to try to breach the divide between worlds in that effort.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel.